Oh, hello. Yeah, my name is Rob.lanphere, and I'm the pastor at Northwood and Lake Mills, Asbury UMC. And so I just want to talk about our summer mission trip that we took this year. And well, we decided that we were going to go through a group called ASP, which stands for Appalachian Service Project. And the reason I chose that one is I had never really led a mission group before. And so I wanted something that was kind of already set up. And so that's what they do. They have everything all set up, and they find the work that you're going to do. They provide the place you're going to stay, all that stuff. Basically, you just raise the funds, and then you end up just trying to get your group there. And so I'll tell you more about that. So this is our picture of our group. We're in Cincinnati. We stopped Cincinnati on the way down. All right. So what is ASP? Well, as I said, it stands for Appalachia Service Project, and their motto is warmer, safer, and drier. And they operate in five states: Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina. And so you can kind of see their service area here is the middle of those states. And more than 15,000 volunteers serve with ASP each year. And so how did ASP start? Well, it started in 1969 by Reverend Glenn Tex Evans, a United Methodist minister, and he became one of the first people to connect the energy of youth with deep needs of the poor. During Tex's 13 years as director at Henderson Settlement in Freights, Kentucky, he witnessed the great need for home repair assistance. So, as part of his already thriving outreach to the people of Appalachia, he recruited 50 teens and adult volunteers to repair homes in Barberville, Kentucky. They worked on site during the day and worshiped in the evenings. And by summer's end, four families had safe, warm homes for the winter. 50 young lives have been changed forever, and a long-standing legacy was born. But Tex was more than a leader. He was a born motivator, a true student of Appalachian culture, and a legendary storyteller. And he set the tone for what ASP is today: an extended family where laughter is king, where relationships matter, and where changing the lives of families and volunteers alike is the highest priority of all. And so the area we went, it was a city of Carrie, but technically Carrie isn't really a city. It's just kind of more of an unincorporated area. And so the site was known as Knott County, Kentucky. And so in November of 2022, they had really bad flooding there. I think it was the remnant of a hurricane. The storms moved in and just the rain just poured and poured and poured. They got a large amount of rain in a short amount of time. And so you can see where the water is up over the bridge, flooding the businesses in the town, and you can see just the devastation there. And this bridge here was still inoperable, and they were working on it even when we were there almost 2 years later. And one thing about Kentucky you hear about is the holler. Like, well, what is a holler? Because everyone would say, oh, yeah, they're up in the holler, down in the holler. And so a Kentucky holler is a narrow valley, usually with a single lane road found in isolated mountainous areas. So that's definitely where we were. We were in the mountains, isolated. Every road we took to get somewhere was narrow and windy. And around the whole area we were at was this creek known as Troublesome Creek. And so every place where there was a group of houses or a holler, there was a bridge to cross the creek to get to that area. And so this is a kind of a good picture of that area in which we were in. And so this is our group. We're getting ready to head out. So we left on a Friday and we had breakfast at Bethel United Methodist Church in Manley, where part of our group was from. And we had to take two different vehicles because we had two work crews. Each work crew needed their own vehicle. So we had 11 passenger van and a 7 passenger minivan. So we ate breakfast at the church, packed our lunches, and then we headed out. And we wanted to do some fun stuff before we actually went and worked. So Cincinnati was on the way, so I contacted the pastor at Westwood United Methodist Church there in Cincinnati. Westwood's a neighborhood, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that'd be great. We have groups come stay all the time. We have a nice area for you that's air conditioned. It has a kitchenette and showers." And I'm like, "Oh wow!" And then he's like, "And it even has a gym." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we're sold." And so we stayed there, and the kids had a great time in the gym and just loved the facilities. And there inside the church is this really beautiful fountain, and it's dedicated to James Gamble. Gamble of Procter and Gamble. Perhaps you've heard of them. They're based in Cincinnati, and so he and his family basically built the church and helped make it kind of what it is. So, and that whole neighborhood of Westwood actually is where he had lived, and his other like executives and stuff. So really kind of made that neighborhood what it was at one time. So we stayed there, and so we get in on Friday, and then Pastor Brian, he says, "Hey, I'm going to treat all of you to this place called the Wondercade. Wondercade is an old school arcade. You pay like a flat fee, and then you can use all the video games and table games and stuff as you want as long as you're there." So he treated all of us to that, and we had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and I found one of my old favorite games, Centipede, and I'm proud to say I had the fourth highest score when we left. So. And then so Saturday morning, then we got up and we decided we're just going to have fun and explore the city. So we found all kind of fun things to do, and a lot of it was free. So we got some recommendations from Pastor Brian and Pastor Sarah, who is the children's pastor there. And so we went to Fridley Market. It's like a farmers type market that's open year round. So part of it's indoors, and there's a lot of outdoor vendors. And so I gave everybody some lunch money, and I said, "Hey, just go find something to eat. Bring something you probably wouldn't have normally, and just go have fun." And so we found this place that their specialty was the Big Mama's, this gigantic taco. So we got that, and it was very good. So there we are having that. And then we went to the Riverfront Park. It's called Smale Park. And there's this cool bridge here that you can walk across. And this is Ohio River, and it'll take you into Kentucky. So we went down, explored the riverfront area, walked across the bridge. And on the way back, you had wonderful views of both the baseball and the football stadiums. And so here's the Great American Ballpark where the Reds play. They have this wonderful free public transport that'll take you all through the downtown. So we got on that and rode around and just explored. There's a lot of cool murals, and we found Contemporary Art Museum. It was free to go into, so we enjoyed some time there looking at the art, and so it was just a wonderful, fun day. And then when we got back, we were invited to go to this neighborhood gathering that happens the second Saturday. That's what they call it, second Saturday of the month. And the Westwood UMC, they are part of that, and they give away hot dogs to everybody for free. And they also have a Pokemon Club. I didn't realize Pokemon was still a thing, but apparently it is. And they give out cards to anyone who would want to be a part and join their Pokemon Club. And so there was some cool entertainment and some music. And as they're wrapping up, and the DJ, he's putting away all of his equipment, he's playing music, and everyone's just kind of, that was left, was just kind of sitting there listening to music, kind of staying along, swaying their head, just enjoying the night. And one of the girls in our group was like, "Oh, we should do Footloose." And so she asked him if they could play that, and he says, "Sure, if you have it on your phone." So they brought it up, and here they are doing the line dancing to Footloose. So part of our group. So line dancing became kind of a thing our group was known for throughout the rest of the week when we end up later on at the church in Kentucky. That about every night they'd fire up the music and do line dancing and teach whoever wanted to learn the dances with them. One thing about Cincinnati is there's two unique food items just for Cincinnati, and that's about the only place you can find it. One is Geta, and what Geta is, it's basically a product of German immigrants that came, and it's ground up beef and pork together, mixed with steel oats and onions and some different spices, and then it's cut into well, you can see here in the picture, it's sliced like this. They basically put it together in a loaf and then slice it. And we kept seeing this at these meat markets, and we're like, what in the world is this? So we looked it up, found out that what it was. So this is a traditional Cincinnati breakfast, is pancakes and Geta. And so here are preparing the food for Sunday morning for all of us and cooking up the Geta. And so that's what we had before we went to church at Westwood. And then the other thing is Cincinnati chili. Now this is a product of Greek immigrants. And so basically it's the chili without beans, just the sauce served over spaghetti noodles. And this was like their bolognese sauce. So instead of like a typical spaghetti sauce like we would make, it would actually have cinnamon and cloves and some other spices. And so that's traditional how Cincinnati chili is. It's just the sauce with some meat served over spaghetti noodles, and that's what they call two-way. If you want three-way, you can either get it with beans or onions. Four-way would be with both, and then five-way is you want everything on it, and then that's just loaded up with a ton of shredded cheddar cheese. And so we all sampled the Cincinnati chili, and it was great. And we all had some Geta, and so we kind of took that stuff with us. And then we went and worshipped with Westwood at their Sunday morning service, and then we headed off then to where we're going on Kentucky. Well, before we got there, we noticed that there was a Buc-ee's on the way. I had heard of Buc-ee's, but I had never ever been, and neither had anyone in our group. So we thought we got to check this out. So if you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's a convenience store, gas station with over 100 pumps. So imagine a humongous gas station with a gift shop that's like a grocery store that's got its own like hot food counter. It's got a beef jerky bar. I mean, you name it. And there's even a person who dressed up as a Buc-ee mascot walking around greeting customers. So it was this humongous place. There's only one in Kentucky. We thought, oh, we got to go there because it was on the way. So he made us stop, and we had packed our lunches thinking we just kind of stop and eat on the road on our way to Kentucky. And then we got there and we're like, you know what? We're going to eat cold sandwiches all week. Let's get some. So we got this thing called the Big Buckin' Brisket sandwich. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. So if you ever see a Buc-ee's and have a chance, I would highly recommend stopping. So then when we got to Kentucky, we stayed at the Montgomery Baptist Church there in Carrie. And it was a beautiful church, beautiful facility, and it was nice of them to open it up to all of us. And so the guys slept in the sanctuary, and then the ladies slept in the annex building just across the parking lot. And you can kind of see just how that area is. So right where these bluffs are, all around the church was that same troublesome creek that flowed all around there. And then it was all these big bluff areas that was very highly dense with trees. So we were definitely in the mountains. And the facilities there were nice, but the one thing I'm missing was a shower. So we all had to use this shower trailer, which was kind of an experience in itself, but it was fine. It got the job done. And so again, one of the beautiful things about ASP that I enjoyed was that they kind of take care of everything for you. So they provided breakfast and dinner, and then they had stuff so we could make our own lunches. And then we brought extra stuff too. So because basically they just had bread and meat or peanut butter and jelly. So we brought some other things to kind of supplement that, snacks and granola bars and that sort of thing. And then each group had chores, and it rotated throughout the day. So at some point, your work crew will had a certain chore, whether it be breakfast chores, dinner chores, it'd be cleaning the bathrooms, you name it. They kind of divvied all that work up among the groups. And so then each morning before we ate breakfast, someone would volunteer and lead a breakfast devotion. So someone from one of the groups. And then the site leaders led the evening gatherings that night. And there was just some interesting things about the area we were in, kind of the work ASP does, and just a good learning and getting to know each other kind of opportunity and time. So here we are in the fellowship hall of the church, and I believe this is one morning eating breakfast. One of the evening gatherings they had on Wednesday night was the family picnic. So a big part of ASP is they want you to get to know the families that you're serving. So people apply to have work done in their homes to ASP, and they set that up. And then while you're there working, they want you to kind of interact with the family, get to know them. And then the cool thing is you get to invite them all to the family picnic. And so they are looking for some grill masters. So I volunteered, and then it was me and two other high schoolers from Maryland, Baltimore area that we were running the grills and cooking all the food that evening for everybody. And then in the picture, there's a grandmother and a granddaughter. And then this guy here is one of the group leaders from Evanston, Illinois. And so they were working on this lady's house. And so they had talked about music and said, hey, for the picnic, you should bring a guitar and come play, because this lady was actually a professional musician. And so she played some original songs, and it was so good. And the granddaughter, man, she could play the mandolin, she could play the guitar, she could sing. So they did some familiar ones that we knew, like Wagon Wheel and I'll Fly Away, and then this lady sang some of her songs that were just, like I said, so good. And she kind of shared a little bit of her story. So that was a fun evening, a fun gathering that we had all together. And then each work crew had its own code name. So you had your binder with all your stuff, and the code names came from the roads that were in the area. So I was a part of the work crew, and we were known as Frogtown, and that was actually a road near where we're at. So where we worked, it was a guy whose house was completely destroyed in the flood, and so he got what money he had gotten from FEMA and from, I think, a little bit from insurance, and he and a few of his buddies were going to rebuild the house, and so they had gotten pretty far. And so when we got there, we installed new cupboards in the kitchen, and then we did the window trim and casings because they had all new windows put in, and we put the trim and casings around them. So here's all the cupboards that we hung up, and then this is Tyshawn and Tristan. Then we're done installing the cupboards, and they put the doors back on and got them all lined up. And here we see Carter and Jack measuring the pilot holes, then to drill to hang and attach the covers to the wall studs. And then you can see our finished handiwork of the window trim here. And so Carter, he ran the nail gun, and I ran the chop saw, cutting all the miter boards. And then Tyshawn then went through and caulked all around the windows. So that was what we did throughout the week. Our other work crew, they were pigeon roost, and so they are actually two crews working together. So it was all the ladies in our group, and then ladies in another group from, I believe it was New Richland, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis area. And so what they did is they installed insulation and then hung drywall in a new addition that was built on a home. And that new addition was actually built by ASP volunteers, the few weeks prior. And so then when they got there, it just had to be time for the next step, which was the insulation and the drywall. So there's a funny story with this. And so you can see that the ladies in our crew all have matching shirts on. So we kind of knew before we left what work we were doing, but not exactly what all we were doing. And so we get there and they discover that the first day they're going to be putting up insulation. Well, no one thought to bring long sleeve shirts. I mean, why would we? It's summer, it's hot, we're in Kentucky. And so they're like, oh man, we're going to be itchy and it's going to really stink. So fortunately, ASP actually had shirts they could purchase. And so they happened to have enough, and it was all in their size. So they got some nice matching shirts out of that too, as well. And so then you see they are hoisting up the drywall and installing that. And then here's just another few more shots of the group, and they're actually able to finish putting up all the drywall that week they were there. And then the next week, someone was coming with a group who was an electrician and a plumber, and they were going to finish all of it so they'd be able to have plumbing and heat in that area. So that was good. And then these were our group shirts we purchased from ASP, and their theme for this year was called Building Kindness. So here are the front and then what it says on the back. And where they got the Building Kindness is from Ephesians 4:32, which says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." So that kind of really went well with what we were doing. Building kindness. So it's showing the hands and feet of Jesus through serving of others and helping their, make their home warmer, safer, and drier. And so that's enough of me telling about how the experience went. So here's what a few other people are saying. And so Carter went on the group and he said, "It was a great time and I enjoyed spending time with the people in our group, making new friends in Kentucky. I plan to go on the mission trip again next year." And then Jack Willard, he was our summer ministry intern this year. He said, "The work we did was rewarding and it was a fun experience getting to meet each other. Our group came together and great memories were made." And so part of what we were doing is we were, yes, doing construction type work at the homes we were at. And there was downtime. We'd have to wait on a delivery. And so ASP had devotional books. And so then I would lead us every morning in our devotion. So it was a good time of just yeah, growing in our faith and growing in our active service for the people that we were helping. So just some last kind of parting shots. So besides line dancing, what our group did, they also enjoyed having fun playing cards and games together. And then one day it was super hot. It was like 95 and really humid. And the house, because it's new construction, didn't have air conditioning. And so I put on a bandana because the sweat kept running my eyes. And so somebody said, "Hey, you look a lot like Rosie the Riveter." So here's a picture of her, and I'm doing my best Rosie the Riveter impression. And then this place here, Yoder's Country Market, is just so Kentucky. I mean, it was a funny place, and so we would, we'd be hot, and sweaty, and we want something to drink. So I'd treat everybody to some cold drinks at the end of the day, and they had some different, interesting, like local drinks and sodas and stuff, and they also had some pretty good food. So we would find some good snacks to have while we were on our break. And one thing I have found, they actually had pickled eggs and beet juice. Now, I love that. I found out Jack also loves that. Nobody else in our group wanted the pickled eggs and beet juice. I couldn't figure it out. So we got them fruit and some other stuff instead. But the funny thing about this is a modern store, but over here, their bathroom was an outhouse. Carter had to use the restroom and he went over there. He wanted to check it out. He says it was a very nice outhouse, but still an outhouse. So, yeah, Kentucky for you. And we also, a lot of them had a great time. They want to do something again next year. So we're planning to kind of lead our own group this next year and do a mission service project in Cincinnati. Made some good connections with the people at Westwood, and we would like to partner with them. They do quite a bit of mission work, and there's other organizations in Cincinnati that do a lot of mission work. And just go and partner with them and spend a few days this next summer in July. We're looking at the 10th through the 14th as just kind of a projected date. And this here is the football stadium, and this is us on our way getting ready to head back home from it's called Camp Washington. Camp Washington is a very much institution of Cincinnati, and each place kind of has who has the best chili. So they think they have the best Cincinnati chili. So if you're thinking of, I want to do something like that, and you're kind of wondering, well, where would I start? Well, how I kind of found ASP and those connections was I went to www.umvim.org. And while you're on there, if you go under projects and then select the new project, this is what comes up. And there's a whole list of other organizations kind of similar to ASP that do that. Or if you want to do something completely different, maybe you want to do something in agriculture, or maybe you want to do something in just like service type work and not necessarily construction or anything along those lines. There's a whole list to pick from. So I just suggest going there and scroll through that list, and then it gives you the link to the group's website, and just do some research on your own. And if you have any questions, or maybe anything I can help answer, I'll include my contact info in the video description on this video. So, well, thank you for watching this, and I hope you have a great day.